So good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Karasevich, and you're watching episode 134 of Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show, where we cover basically what happened in social media for the week. We've got a lot of fantastic topics to talk with you this week about. We try to take every topic and we cover them, what happened, and then how could it affect you as a business owner, or how can you get the most mileage out of these updates? So this week we were going to have Jeff Bulis on. He had a conflict come up, and so he has had to reschedule with us. But it's going to be myself and Phil Gerbishek, and I'm going to bring Phil up right now, and we're going to get going. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. But good evening, Phil. How are you doing?
Hey, Christian, I'm great, man. It's good to see you again, buddy. Seems like it was just last week we had a conversation.
Yes, definitely. And these are great. I mean, because, it's also about building, it's about teamwork, but it's about building like support from your community, in this case, like both of us having one another's back. I just, say to everyone, if you're watching, do us a favor, hit that share button. It's always better when you bring your friends. So hit the share button, invite them to join the show. We've got a lot of topics we're going to talk about. So Phil, where do you want to start this week?
Oh, well, I think, in honor of last week's guest, Ann Wynn, I think we need to start with the fun on LinkedIn, what they're doing with LinkedIn Messenger. What do you think, Christian?
I think that's a good place to start, actually. Yeah, let me get that pulled up for everyone. Because,
so you pull it up and let me talk. Yeah,
sure.
Totally took me by surprise too, man. So for those of you who don't know, LinkedIn said, hey, guess what? We're going to be a little more Facebook-like. We're going to add the ability to send GIFs in Messenger, which is really interesting. LinkedIn has always been so professional, and maybe some might even say a little bit stiff. But now in messages, now they're going to add GIFs, which, can be a good thing and can be kind of a bad thing. I don't know. Christian, tell us one of the bad things that you think could happen if people use the new GIF feature on Messenger.
So I think using if you're going to use animated GIFs on Messenger, I think really using them in the incorrect time. So for example, if it's the first conversation I have with somebody, I definitely don't, you probably know this, but I don't want to use an animated GIF at that point. Or also it depends on the situation you're using it in. To me, I think those are going to be the two key times that you want to be really respectful about how you're going to use these.
Yeah, totally, man. I also think, if you think about you're communicating with the CEO about a really important project, throwing in a GIF of Chris Farley living in a van down by the river, probably not going to win you any cool points. CEOs don't care about cool points, right? They care about insight and being, not that you have to be a stiff board, but they're looking for value that you can add, not for a smart aleck sense of humor.
Absolutely. And here we go. Yeah, here's the article. Here we go. And absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that, if you're going to be, one second here, let me get this. Yeah. So if you're going to be, using animated GIFs in your messaging, you still need to stick with your corporate branding, and stick with all your rules that you have. And I know Nicole is on. I think she's an attorney, right? Or you're a practicing one, or are you a I'm not sure if she's a practicing one still, or if she's.
Is she a recovering one, or we wondered if she's.
I have a lot of recovering ones.
Kind of trouble. Yeah.
But I would say, be mindful of what your corporate branding is, and what kind of rules you have to follow there, because, using animated former. Yes. So, using animated GIFs, I think that, they can be very valuable for a business owner. But you just have to pick the right place and the right time to use them. By the way, welcome Kelly as well. Welcome Teresa, Lisa Bernard. Look at that. That rhymes. So, what do you think? What do you think as a business? How do I need to be using these?
Yeah. So first of all, right now it's probably just the universe of GIFs that are out there, but I think the potential is for organizations that are willing to take a chance and take some of their video and turn it into their own GIF. talking about staying on brand, Christian, that's a great way to do it, is to make your own GIFs. So go ahead, do that. You might, especially, I can see totally in recruiting people that are for a creative position, or, that are more, a little more interesting people than real stiff people. Once again, you get to know the person. Or to your point, I love your point, Christian, about align it with your corporate culture, right? Align it with your culture, because really it doesn't matter what Phil or Christian thinks. It matters what your culture says and what your customers are willing to do for you. So be willing to make your own GIFs. I think the other thing, again, I mentioned recruiting. The last thing that I would say is it is okay in private, but still probably not that interesting to do in public, even though they aren't offering it yet. When they do, I'd be really careful about sharing those in public, because while you might not hear any complaints, you're going to see some people that are like, no, you need to be more professional than that. So just be really careful with that.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to read through the comments here, actually. Yeah. So Nicole says, she wonders why LinkedIn made that decision. So Nicole, are you wondering why LinkedIn made that decision to add animated GIFs? Or, is there another part there?
Yeah, well, she said LOL there. I think she's kidding, right? I think she knows, right? She knows that it's the Facebookification and trying to get more users. I don't know. Absolutely. Maybe I'm wrong, Nicole, but you seem smart.
I think that, here's the thing. I think that in this situation, LinkedIn needs to keep up. Okay. Definitely think they need to keep up. And I think at the same time, though, this, it makes a lot of sense if you use it in the right context. If I'm a business owner and, and I'm using this, I can have fun with my customers, for example. Like if it's, a certain situation, like if it's, if it's a, for example, I've had some customer service issues with a few companies recently, and they've responded with like emoji, and in the context, I was having like an issue getting, for instance, my show started. They're responding with an emoji, and to me, that was not the right time to use that. Knowing, what, this customer is having a few issues, we need to help them resolve their issue. Versus, let's use, like in this case, an emoji. You can replace that with an animated GIF. So just kind of pick, what the right context is for you as a business. And don't be afraid, by the way, to think outside the box on using an animated GIF. Because like you said, right now you can select your animated GIFs in in LinkedIn direct messaging, but that at some point it's coming that you can upload your own. And for those of you who want to create your own, I put this in the comments. I recommend using Cloud App. That's actually an app I use for. It takes screenshots. I use it to record video. I can record animated GIFs. One of the challenges I can tell you with recording animated GIFs, depending on the software you use, is the file size and the quality of the animated GIF. In this case, that app, it actually works great. It creates a very lightweight animated GIF, and it has multiple functions. So you could make your own quickly. And like you said, create something that is specific for your business, so that you could go ahead and have that on hand, or have that on hand for your customer service reps to be able to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like what Bernard said. He's right on the money there. For serious discussions and contacts, right? I don't see them being used much. So, that's a great point, Bernard. Really important to think about. Again, that's all about context. If it's a serious customer service issue, or you're recruiting an executive, you've got to be mindful of that. Just pay attention. And Bernard, excellent point. Thank you for saying that.
I think it's a great point. And again, I hope these are not going to get to the point where people are trying to use them in, LinkedIn messaging, because we don't need another Facebook necessarily. But, it does give you the option if you want to share this in your direct messages. So,
yes. So if you're watching, drop us an animated GIF of your favorite animated GIF so we can see what they are, so that we can share them later, right? Because we're not on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, Christian. Let's be fun. So if you're watching, Fernando, Bernard, Nicole, drop us a GIF, right? Tell us what you like and make us laugh a little bit. And we'll come back and we'll share the best ones maybe at the end of the show.
And by the way, for those of you who want to know how to use this, how it actually how does it work in LinkedIn? Pretty simple. Open the LinkedIn mobile app, go to messaging at the bottom, tap on a conversation or start a new conversation, and you're going to see your keyboard, you're going to see @tagging, you're going to see the ability to upload a photo, and you're going to see the GIF option where you can then select from them. And by the way, this is not done through Jiffy. This is actually done with a company called Tenor, which Google acquired a few months back. So you know that it's actually coming from a good source as well.
Fascinating. So, well, that's interesting, which makes me wonder, is Microsoft going to buy a GIF company? Right? Microsoft in the peanut butter business. Oh, is that the wrong GIF, Christian? I don't know. Right? But that's interesting to me. I think, that might be next, because to that point, if Google shuts that off, now all your GIFs go away. I wonder if the LinkedIn developer network, the content network, right? Because they've got their own, that's where they host a lot of stuff. Maybe that's the next step in a live video. Well, let's see.
Definitely. So I think we covered this one in depth. What's next?
Oh, what's next? Well, we go from being fun to being a fogey again. Let's talk about those knuckleheads on Capitol Hill that talk about Zuckerberg, because Zuckerberg was on the Hill 2 days talking to senators who think that we're still on dial-up networking. I guess I shouldn't hold back with how I feel, huh, Christian?
No, definitely. I mean, this was quite the interesting read here, I will say. I got quite a chuckle out of all of this. Especially with, a lot of so this basically produced a whole bunch of internet memes as a result. You can see there's a big divide between the current generation and, people basically running Congress. And I'm just going to put this link up there. I'm going to put this link up there for everybody to read. Just enjoy these. Yeah. So let's be clear, though, not all of these are totally legit. So read the Mashable article, take it with a grain of salt. But all I want to say about this is, please make sure you educate yourself. If you're watching this, before you click any button, please take a little time to understand what the heck that button is. Don't just mash accept. I get it, right? They're long, they're full of crap, right? They're junky. Sorry, Nicole, they're written in lawyer speak, right? But let's just be honest. These are your responsibility, folks. We're not going to talk about how stupid our senators are, because that would be a whole nother topic. But I shouldn't say stupid, how non-research oriented they are and how lack of understanding they are about the internet. Let's talk instead about you, right? As a business owner, before you go giving up your private data, let's be really clear. Clicking a button makes you responsible. So own your crap. Don't just click. It is on you to own your own privacy. I think that is a fantastic point that you make there. I mean, with anything, and it's not about, and maybe Nicole can actually chime in on this, but I will say that, you don't, try to read the terms of service. They make it confusing. Nicole, I'm sure you can actually chime in on this. Try to read the terms of service. I know they make it confusing for people to be able to read. They want it to be that way. They know you're not going to read it. You're just going to click OK. But spend a couple minutes, look through it. They typically have sections. Facebook's terms of use isn't that difficult. It's not that lengthy and confusing. Just read through it. And then know, like as Phil said, know what you're doing. There's, for example, you don't just so think about this. Any task you begin, you don't just typically you don't just start it. You kind of do a little research. You're going to start a new business. What do? You look at, hey, what are other people doing in the space? You build a business plan or a use case, and then you start to get involved in understanding how all the pieces fit together, right? Or how all the stuff that you need for your business works. It's the same exact way with this situation. You join, granted, things change over time, you get busy, but make sure you know what you're doing and what you're sharing. I get this all the time for people. They want to, they don't really read the terms of service or something like that. And then something gets shut down on their account. And what happens? They then have to go in this panic or this frenzy to be able to fix it. In this case, it's the same way. We're trying to fix something, but we really don't understand what necessarily is going on with it. You know, we don't really like understand it, so we're kind of just talking about it. So just, you know, this is definitely one of those situations where you need to know what you're sharing, why you're sharing it. You know, like as simple as it is, one of the questions that was asked by you know, in this hearing was, how does Facebook make money? For example, very simple. They said, hey, we make money off of ads. You know, so just keep that stuff in mind. What do you want to add to this, Phil? Anything?
So just one thing, and that is, folks, if you're not paying for the product, you're the product. You're for sale. Your data is for sale. If you're getting a discount at the gas station, at grocery store, the convenience store, at Nordstrom's, at, you know, wherever it is, your data is the product. Now, I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you that so that you take personal responsibility for this stuff, folks. You have to remember that. And Bernard's point here, everything is discoverable. Don't put anything on social media that you don't want someone to find. That means...
And it does... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, it doesn't mean like, you know, and that doesn't just apply to like your personal account. That applies to your business account as well. Like if you're running a Facebook page, for example, or an Instagram channel or a Twitter channel, it doesn't matter. Know what you're putting out there and just think about like the ramifications. I mean, this is a great point by Bernard. And this is, here's the thing. Social media has changed a lot since I started back in 2006. But you know what? The things that haven't changed, people can still take screenshots of it. People can still, you know, they can go back. Like I see stories every single day. Like, for example, the NCAA, the NCAA championship that just happened. The guy like won the, you know, he came off the bench. He had a fantastic performance and he ended up, you know, at the end, like all the spotlight was on this guy. He won the MVP, like, which was really just crazy. But guess what happened the next day? The guy scrubbed his social media channels because he had things on there that obviously were going to get a lot of scrutiny as a result. So it doesn't matter like when it happens, you need to be mindful about what you post. You know, people really can look through that and kind of get a picture of who you are. So it's, you know, just think before you post, really. By the way, I want to welcome Jessica as well. Thanks a lot for joining us. Nicole actually made another good point. You know, it's our responsibility to read it. Those who are actually, those are contractual terms. Absolutely. People brush it off, click to move on, but that doesn't excuse not knowing what's in there. And that is absolutely right. You need to know, you know, what's going on there. And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if all the people here in, you know, this congressional hearing, like, I'm sure they didn't read the terms of service. They probably just joined.
No, they don't. They think that. So Lisa makes a joke here about what they said. If I'm emailing within WhatsApp, you're not emailing within WhatsApp. It's a messenger app. You're messaging. You're not emailing. Holy crap. Wake up.
Absolutely. It's you know, the key thing, get the terms right. I mean, you know, if you're going to use WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn direct messaging, doesn't matter. You know, you're messaging somebody. If I'm going to use an email program, I'm going to use something like Gmail. I'm going to use something like, you know, Outlook, you know, the medium, you know, use the right terms. The terms also, by the way, as a business, they make you look professional, you know, and by the way, yes, Nicole, these memes are hilarious. I know we don't cover memes a lot, but I thought these would actually be very useful.
Yeah,
I thought everybody get a kick.
Yeah.
I just want to go through a couple of these memes real quick before we go into the you know,
do it, man. They're fun.
So you know, here's a good one, you know, and here's the thing. This typically will happen, you know, it's a bit of a slippery slope. You know, in this case, this is a meme that was created. Mr. Zuckerberg, my wife and I share an account on the Facebook, obviously not using the terms right, but we would like different farm bills. Is there any way you could set that up for us? She keeps messing with my crops. Again, you know, shared Facebook accounts, you don't need them. You know, you need to have your own Facebook account because again, you know, but if you put this in context, chances are I would not be surprised. Everyone that's watching, you probably have other people. By the way, welcome, Vincent. You know, you have other people probably that are, you know, you have family members probably asking these questions. So, you know, keep this in mind.
I expect family members too. Let's be clear, Christian. I talk about my mom every week because I love her to pieces, man. I expect my mom is going to ask me this. I expect my kindergarten teacher is going to ask me this. If you're an elected official and you're asking these questions, shame on you. Talk to your intern. Like, talk to your grandkids even. I don't care. But seriously, if the senator from my area asks those questions, I'm just embarrassed for them. For real. Talk to me. Talk to Christian. Like, talk to somebody. Use your brain, right? Like, seriously. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. But my goodness, if you're the stupidest person in the room, you don't deserve to be an elected official.
Absolutely. And I want to highlight like one other thing real quick here, and then, and we'll kind of move on from this topic. But, this is also kind of showing just the divide that's going on here. In this case, the senator brought out printouts, and this is legit. They brought printouts of various Facebook groups, okay, and in this case, they asked if they were Russian propaganda groups. Here's that to me right there is just showing the big divide that's here. I mean, don't just sign up for something, use how can they not have like an iPad or something there to where they can sit there and look at these, in real time and whatnot. Printouts are great, but we don't really print things out nowadays. I guess unless you're maybe in the legal profession, right, Nicole? But in this case, like just kind of, be on top of be on top of everything. You don't have to be an expert, but be smart enough. I mean, if you're in a position like this, you need to be smart enough to know how to navigate yourself around these things. Otherwise you're going to end up like an internet meme like this. So. Yeah.
So it's at this time in the show that we're going to drop our fax number for donations. If you'd like to send some money to us, just fax it in. The number is 800 No, we don't have a fax number. Come on. This is social media. Let's get real. But if you do want to send us any money, we'll take it. WhatsApp always works. Whatever makes you happy. Just send it to Christian and we'll split that 60-40.
Actually, we are going to look at setting up a Patreon account.
Awesome.
I want to thank everyone who's joining. By the way, we've got Vincent here. We've got Tara Fuller. Thanks a lot for joining. Tara and I were chatting about, some Facebook group issues that have been going on for video, Phil, about how notifications are no longer working really for groups. Unfortunate. So what do we have next on the show tonight?
Well, let's stick with Facebook, buddy. Let's talk about augmented reality and the movie Ready Player One. So if you haven't read the book, check out the book Ready Player One, Ernest Cline, great book. But what's cool is because of the movie, Facebook is going to play with us a little bit more. They're putting some augmented reality on their movie posters, which is so freaking cool. I mean, this has been coming since Minority Report, right? And now we finally see it. I'm so excited. I'm such a nerd. I don't know, Christian, what do you think, man?
I think that, I love the idea of this. I mean, it's basically what you can do here is you can, basically, let me just figure out how you can do this. So certain posters, in this case, that are at your movie theater, you can open the Facebook app and you'll be able to, mess around with AR. And I love AR. I mean, AR, just being smart with, taking something that's a flat object and like, how do you make it a better experience? I mean, just fantastic. How do you feel about AR?
Well, so first, I think that it's not quite here yet. And by not here, I mean the masses, right? I mean, you and I can use it. We're dorks, right? We can totally use this stuff.
Right.
But for most people, it's not here yet. And my biggest concern is that it gets overblown. But if we do this right, it's just a little bit of augmentation, not our whole world, not all Ready Player One. We're not all going to be in the Oasis with a hollow deck and never talking to another person. That's just ridiculous, if you ask me, right? That's totally dystopia. Not interested in that at all. But I think the possibility to see, like, I'm moving in June. I'd love to see what my new apartment looks like with some cool new furniture. That would be pretty neat. Or I'd love to see, if I'm going to buy tickets to the Tampa Bay Lightning and go Lightning, right? Go Bolts. They're in the playoffs tonight. I would love to see what the stadium, what the different arena spots look like before I go and buy, season tickets for the game or a concert or something like that. So a lot of potential. The question is, how does this get done without spending a ton of money to make this happen?
Definitely think so. I mean, the other thing with this, and I want to kind of, just make this point, is that they're rolling out simple experiences simple animated experiences on posters from Ready Player One, and also A Wrinkle in Time, by the way. That's another movie that's coming out.
Yeah,
I like that they're starting to roll this. Is it out? Okay. I like how they're rolling this out on, just in a slow fashion here, because augmented reality is something that is very difficult to just get into. And all of a sudden you're going to have, everybody, really like clamoring for this. I mean, it has a very niche market. So it is going to be a bit of a challenge, obviously. So don't go in there with like these ridiculously high expectations. Augmented reality is something that you have to really introduce people to slowly to get them, to really buy into it. Because again, it's another thing that I have to keep up with. In this case, I mean, if I'm a business and I want to tap into augmented reality, I think the first thing would be I need to start testing it out with some movie posters. Go experience it yourself. Like how long would, here's the thing, you don't have to go watch the movie. Go to your local theater, and use your Facebook app, open your camera, basically open the Facebook app, you swipe, what is it, left or right? I'm trying to remember offhand. So open your Facebook camera or your Facebook app, or tap the camera in the top left, and then you can swipe left or right.
Swipe right.
Swipe left. Or swipe right. Yeah, right to left. So right to left or left to right?
Left to right.
Left to right. Yeah.
Swipe
so
right.
Swipe left to right. And then basically, test it out, because, you can then, get an idea of like, hey, is this something that could apply to my business? It's not going to apply to every business. Keep that in mind. So I would say, that's augmented reality for you. But what do you think? Any suggestions for business? Any additional comments?
So two thoughts. One, if you're going to take advantage of it, you have to teach people how to use it. So here's the thing. Perhaps and again, I think physical locations are good for this. Just like I think that QR codes could have been good for it if we didn't just chuck them out there like turds, right? If we teach people. So I can imagine a wine sommelier, right, picking a different wine and kind of experiencing the vineyard that it was in. So start, teach people, give them an experience. I think that AR is a great opportunity to deepen an experience for people. The second thing is exactly to your point, Christian. Just dip your toe in yourself first before you invest in it. So dip in, play around, check it out, see what you think. And then third, this is not something you have to do, but if you do, it is potentially a wonderful surprise and delight option for your customers. Because if you do this cool, for the ones that find it, holy crap, this is awesome. And for those who don't, there's no lost experience, which is one of the things that I really like about AR. Unlike 3D, when I go to a 3D movie, I hate wearing the glasses because I wear regular glasses, it's awful for me. Unlike that, AR still works with my regular glasses, so I can still enjoy it. Or if I don't use it, it doesn't degrade my experience.
Absolutely. By the way, I'm sort of surprised here that, and maybe this does exist, but do they actually have any sort of 3D glasses that can like quickly go over your existing glasses, so that you have a better experience for that? Or do you kind of have to do I have to wear two pairs of glasses basically? Yeah.
Well, maybe they do, man. I haven't seen it. I mean, I go to Disney World quite a bit. I'm in Florida, so I get to go to Disney. Right? I'm an annual pass holder. I like to go the IMAX, but man, when it's 3D, it actually hurts my head.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I like your points, by the way, with this, to experiment with it. Again, experiment with it. It's, it's basically the experience, but you scan a QR code. So you open the Facebook app, you open your camera, you go to the Ready Player One poster, you scan a QR code. Pretty simple. And then in this case, it's only available, this is something that Facebook released with Ready Player One and Wrinkle in Time. So it's not available publicly for you to start creating your own, but they will have a toolkit for developers that they said will be available later this spring. So keep that in mind. So basically the bottom line is go test it out, see how you like it. Again, this is one of those things you kind of have to wade into, to really understand it and to see, the potential there. And there's a lot of potential with this. Again, it's not also about, I would say this, it's not about necessarily just doing something just for you as a business. You need to think outside the box and say, what are my competitors not doing? I might be thinking product, sell, but it's about creating an experience that will move your customers to then take action, or that will move other people that say, hey, you know what? I really like what they're doing. I want to really see what that company's up to now. Cause like I've never been there, but hey, they're doing something really cool. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And don't put your AR code up on a billboard, by the way, up above the highway, because those won't get seen. I'm just letting you know.
Seriously though, I mean, that is a good point, because a lot of people will try to do that sometimes. They'll think like, hey, it's a scannable QR code. Let's put it anywhere. Think about where you're going to put it. For example, maybe if you're a restaurant, maybe you put something like this on the menu, for instance, with an instruction. Maybe you put it on, in this case, a poster. Where else could you put this? You could put it in clothing, for example. I don't think a lot of people have tapped into this, but if you print your own tags, with your, you've got your logo, you got your website on there. Why not put a QR code on there, or put, some sort of wording that says, hey, you know what? Experience more about this, in this case, get a better experience of whatever it is you're selling. That could be something really neat. That would actually be pretty cool, by the way, to have like some sort of product that you could almost like suck somebody into when they scan a QR code, to let them kind of almost like a premonition or something like that. They scan it, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's what you're really like. For example, if it was like cleaning product, cleaning seems really boring. Nobody really wants to do it, but hey, you put a code on there, somebody scans it, and it takes them to like, just a quick little, experience where all of a sudden their housework is all done. And hey, the end is they're propped up, relaxing and whatnot, because this product helps me get it done.
Yeah.
So,
me and Mr. Clean, the cleaning machine, we're dancing. There you go, Christian. I'm up for that, man. Let's make it happen.
So let's keep moving here. Got a couple more topics. What do we have next?
Yeah. So, well, let's quickly talk a little bit about Snapchat. The fact they're thinking about going chronological for some of their users, I think is very interesting. So, folks, if you're listening, does chronological even matter to you? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop it in the comments while Christian and I kind of tee this up here. But chronological, Christian, that's fascinating. I mean, we hear people whine about that. I mean, talk about how they'd like it to be different on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. What do you think, man? Do you think people really want to see things in the time that they're produced?
So I found this really, if you watch the sneak peek that I shared yesterday about, what we're going to be talking about today. And one of those things I said, we're going to talk about Snapchat chronological stories here and how they're looking to bring this back for some users. Now, what I found really funny about this was that you have a big debate going on in social media, because you have, for instance, Facebook, and then it's like, well, hey, we want to put this algorithm in place, and we want to make it where people are able to see, like, where they're able to see, like, well, what's happening, here and now. But then they want to be able to also say, well, let's show something that's an algorithm and show them what we think they want to see. But then you have Snapchat actually doing a total, like, just like doing their own thing here, which I think actually makes a lot of sense, coming up with a chronological stories feed. I think that it actually is a smart move in their case, because they've moved a lot of the brands, a lot of the brand content to the Discover section. But then when they bring the chronological stories feed back, what it will do is it will actually show you what is current, in this case, from your friends on Snapchat. So yeah, I think that's a smart move.
Let's hope so. Well, let's hope so, right? And I think the fact that Facebook isn't doing it, that Instagram isn't doing it, means that Snap should totally try it, because they keep getting copied. Why don't you zig instead of zag? I think that's great. Nicole mentioned that she wishes Instagram was chronological. I'm curious, Nicole, how many people do you follow on Instagram? Because I've got, I just looked at mine. I've got a couple thousand people, and I got to tell you, it would drive me insane if I was trying to follow stuff chronologically. It really would. So I'm actually glad that they do some, a little bit of filtering for me. So I'm just curious, Christian, what about you, man? Are you an Instagram user? Do you wish this was chronological for you too? 1,500. Holy crap, Nicole! Wow. Oh, sorry.
That's a lot, by the way. Oh no, oh, good. I think that overall, it's a useful feature to have. I wish there was a way to, like, just very simple. Let me turn the box on and off. Like, let me, because here's what's going to happen. Well, so here's the reason. So I think that there needs to be an option to turn it on and off, because sometimes like if I just start, like maybe at first I want to see like what's popular, what's new, because I want to be able to grow my audience. But then, if they want to like show me, well, hey, what's happening, like, like immediately from like certain people, then I may want that option. As I grow to like say 1,500, which, by the way, 1,500, a lot of people are like, hey, 1,500 is a small number compared to some brands. That's a good job. Very good job. So it's something you have to work at. And I will say, maybe you want to have it on for certain times. As you start to like grow your channels, maybe you want it off for others so that you can identify what the right channels are. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that. And again, I like to see an on or off switch for sure. But for most users, Christian, they're not going to use that. They're not even going to understand what the heck the difference is. So that's interesting. And Bernard, of course, that's a humble brag. It's good stuff, Nicole. Brag all you want about how many people you're following, because you should. Good job. Right.
And by the way, you do need and here's the thing, Nicole follows 1,500 people, but guess what? Like, you don't have to go and follow 1,500 people. Do what's within your limits. In this case, like she does it, and she's really good at, doing that. And, so just kind of keep it in perspective about what you are capable of as a business owner, because, in this case, it's good that you're going to have the ability to like, hopefully have your chronological stories feed on Snap, but you also have to think, if you're not physically capable of following, keeping up with 500 or 1,000, and don't expect to keep up with every update, but, just keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Nicole, I don't know. I think it's a lot. What do you think, Phil? Do you think 1,500 is a lot?
Well, sure. If you're not a big brand, if I think about each person posts once a week, let's say once a week, that's 1,500 emails. I don't know, Nicole, is 1,500 emails a lot to get in a week? I'd be overwhelmed and I'd rip my hair out if I had 1,500 emails to respond to. So I think it's a lot for sure. I follow more than that. I think I'm stupid, right? I think 1,500 though is a big number.
And I would say this, it's also about like, for example, you follow 1,500 there, and then let's look at the other platforms. And hopefully if people are doing it right, they are sharing different messaging on all those platforms. So you're following 1,500, say on Snapchat, then you're following, say 1,000 on Facebook, or maybe, 1,000 on Facebook, say, another 1,000 on Instagram, and you're getting all these different messages. That can be a lot to keep up with. So, I applaud you for that. I think 1,500 is, it's a good, ambitious, amount of content to keep up with.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said something there that is really important. And I don't know if you realize how important that was. You need a different message for every platform that you have because they're different audiences. You need to think about that.
Absolutely.
It drives me crazy to watch my friends friends like colleagues, whatever you call them, go from Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter to Instagram with the same stinking message. Stop. Don't do it. Right? Think about the platform. No. Now, I'm not saying you can't post similar content, but it's got to be at least a little bit different. Otherwise, you're encouraging people to not follow you everywhere. And if I'm your customer, I want to connect with you freaking everywhere because I want different content, not the same schlock.
Absolutely. And like, let's use this whole, let's use the Facebook augmented reality posters as, an example here. For example, Facebook, in this case, Ready Player One, a movie that came out, they didn't just post, they have the same message in different places, but they have different experiences, different ways for their audience to learn about it and experience the movie, in this case, to go watch it. So they're going to have Facebook augmented reality. I don't use Snapchat as much, but I'm pretty sure that they would have a Snapchat, a lens. Basically, they're tied to the movie. They may have something, for theaters, for example, where if you're at a specific theater, maybe they have, things that are like using geolocation, for instance. Just thinking here, spitballing some ideas. For example, that maybe on Twitter, what they would do is they would create they could create a Twitter account that's specifically for Ready Player One. And what they could do with that is, maybe they have a premiere going on, for instance, and they show, here's the premiere at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, for instance. So, there's different experiences that you can give your, viewers to where they can then figure out, well, hey, which one do I want to go test out?
Yeah.
So
awesome. Awesome conversation, Christian. Well, let's move into the apps, buddy. Let's talk about the 2 apps that we have this week. We've got more news for you folks, but we want you to check out the blog post because, we could spend 3 hours here giving you the news. We just want to give you the best, the most actionable stuff that you can have.
And by the way, some of those topics we're going to have a couple things that have been released. We've got Instagram name tags. This is stuff that's going in the blog recap. Instagram name tags. This is basically Instagram's version of Snapchat QR codes. Pretty neat, idea. But again, it's a QR code. Are people gonna, people have to kind of still come back and edge into this. And I've been saying this for like how many years now? About 8 years,
long time.
About 10 years actually for QR codes. People don't get QR codes. So, having Snap codes, having Instagram name tags, having regular QR codes, people are going to still have to figure it out how they are applicable. But that's an update from this week. We also have Instagram Focus. That's a camera effect that basically will blur your background. We're going to have that in the blog recap. And then we also have some Snapchat lenses specifically for iPhone X users, and also a YouTube Kids update, which I think is actually a pretty good update talking about the algorithm. They're actually giving you a button to turn on your YouTube in the YouTube Kids app update. They're going to give you the ability to turn off having it use an algorithm and let you show YouTube content for kids that is handpicked by YouTube staff. So this way, I'm pretty sure they probably watch all the content that they're picking. Yeah. So those will go in the blog recap. But let's talk about some tools real quick. So I've got 2 tools for you. The first one is going to be it's an Instagram app. It's called Tagwin. And have you experimented with any Instagram giveaway tools?
I haven't, but I'm very familiar with them, right? I think that anytime anything can help you create a better experience for people in regards to your contest, because so many of these contests are so schlocky, right? They're just horrible. And they're so hard to keep up with. Using something like Tagwin is going to save you a ton of time. So it is no more spreadsheets, just Tagwin. So take a look. It's a great tool. It's not real complicated, but it does what they do incredibly well. Are you using this, or do you have experience with this, Christian?
I haven't used this one. I'm not using it, but I will say, I don't run a lot of Instagram contests, but I will say, when you go to run a contest, doesn't matter what social media channel you're going to run this contest on. It can be very challenging to run that contest. If you're running the old way, which is this is what people will typically do. And a lot of people still do this, by the way. They will run a contest. They will then go in and they will manually count the numbers and, say, oh, hey, who's the 25th entry or something like that. And they'll go count 25 or whatever, which, it's not always easy to go do. Because you have different, sometimes you'll have something come in before another one, even though it was posted earlier because of a timestamp issue or something. But, in this case, this is a smarter way as a business to run an Instagram contest or a giveaway. Basically, pretty simple. I mean, you go on, use Tagwin. You can try for free. They let you, it takes about 5 minutes, no credit card required. Basically go in, you can require people to have to do certain things, for example, to be able to enter. And there's no more oh, I'm going to go run a contest and I need to go for instance, let's say I ran a contest and Nicole was, enter the contest. And one of the requirements was, I want you to go follow us and I want you to like a post. People are going to do the old manual way to save a few bucks sometimes. They'll run their contest and then they're going to have to go count for every single person. Oh, well, hey, did Nicole go follow? Did Nicole, like this post? Did she leave a comment, for example? And doing all of that, it takes a lot of time. And that's where Tagwin can actually help. They actually have a dashboard built into here. So when you run your contest, you'll be able to go in to Tagwin. You'll be able to see all of the contests you've got going on. And you can require certain, have certain requirements for a contest for somebody to enter. For example, you can require that there's no more oh, hey, let me write this all out. Require them to follow and like a post and require a comment on a post and require a mention on a post. And have somebody say, well, hey, I don't know what the rules are. You can require all of this in the contest and quickly gather the results of that contest to be able to, then pick a winner and then move on in your business. That's pretty much it. So from a cost standpoint, very simple. I mean, they have, a free plan. You can run your first contest for free. I would recommend, by the way, reading up on Tagwin first before you actually just launch your contest, because you may blow your free chance here. The second thing is, if you want to then, start to like really tap into using this for contests, like I said, I don't run contests on Instagram, but some people like to run them a lot. For example, it moves up to a $19 a month plan. If you have 1,000 followers, 1 to 10,000 followers is $29, and then $49 for 10 to 100,000. If you've got over 100,000, $79 a month, you're probably not worrying about that. But you can basically go in with the power user plan, as they call it, post to a hashtag, follow your account, like in this case, comment on a post, like a post, have winner selection, for example. There's no more manual counting and randomly going to randomnumber.org and picking a number. You can have it automatically pick your contest winner for you. And lastly, this is powered by a company called Strutta. And Strutta has been around for quite a while. So you're not getting like a company that like just created a contest app for Instagram. Has been in the business for quite a while. Have you had a chance to use any of this at all, Phil?
I haven't, but I totally get it, right? I mean, anytime you can make a contest easier and more clear for your users, it is a win.
Absolutely. Again, it's a tool to test out. I mean, it's not about like, you get a free contest. So run a free contest, put together something, see how you like it. See if you do a lot of contests, compare it to your old way and your new way of doing things. As a business owner, I know how busy you are. That's why we value your time. So I would try to keep the show under 60 minutes, and in this case, like if there are places where you can take a shortcut, and everybody who says there's no shortcuts in life, there are shortcuts to help you do things faster. So, in this case, if you run a lot of contests, they eat up your time. So consider putting a tool in place that can handle, or you can offload some of those tasks. So that's tool number one for the week. And then the second tool, I want to pull this up actually. And the second tool is actually, do you want to introduce the second tool?
Yeah. So Christian, I'm just wondering, buddy, what time zone are you in?
That is a very good question, actually. So I am currently, how many hours? I'm 7 hours ahead of you, by the way.
Well, holy crap. So you're in a weird ass time zone, dude. I'm in Eastern time zone. There are places in the world that have like half-hour time zones now with the time clock right now. Now we have people.
Daylight savings time, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So Christian, man, wouldn't it be nice if there was an app that actually told us like what time it is everywhere? Man, I wish I could find an app like that. Where is there such an app?
By the way, there is, and I'm not ashamed to admit this. I mean, this is the World Clock app, and this could be. It could be I can speak from experience. It can be a pain to keep up with time zones. It can be absolutely a pain. In this case, like for instance, we were going to have Jeff on. He had a conflict come up, but for example, I was able to at least say, hey, you know what, we're going to do the show at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 5 a.m. for me. Oh, hey, what time is that, for instance, for Jeff? So in order to figure this out, all you have to do is go on your smartphone. This is an iPhone, for instance, here. I go on my iPhone. I could go and I can select the world clock option at the bottom, and I could type in the city that I want. And all I have to do then is now see, well, hey, London is 2 hours ahead. New York is 7 hours ahead. Los Angeles, West Coast, 10 hours ahead. So the World Clock app can help you take a lot of the guesswork out of, as a business, when I need to get in touch with people. If I need to get in touch with people, this is a great way for me to quickly see, what time it is there. So I'm not, for instance, I'm not sending Phil, for instance, a Facebook message, at 3 o'clock in the morning for him. I could see, well, hey, for Phil, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, for me, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Let me wait a little bit in the day. I brought this app up, by the way, because it's not necessarily about having an app for social media. It's about an app for helping you as a business as well. Something that can help you out. And in this case, this is right on your smartphone, right on your phone. Just go to the Clock app. What do you think, by the way, about this? Do you have any? Are you an iPhone user or an Android?
Oh yeah, I'm an iPhone user. I think it's great. I think it's critical that people remember this. Often, if I'm on my desktop, I'll type in like, "What time is it?" in such a certain place. But Christian, I didn't even think about this, man. This is such an easy way to do it. Just go to your world clock, right? Just go to the Clock app and look at your world clock. And now I can see, Oh, that's what time it is for Christian. That's fantastic. Now I know.
Absolutely. It's very simple. And it's as simple as just opening, if you're on, for instance, an iOS device, iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, you can swipe down from the top. You can type in world clock, or you can type in the clock, and it will, if you type in clock, it'll open the whole app. If you type world clock, it'll take you right to the screen. And by the way, that is a good little trick. You can go to Google as well and just type in what's the time zone in, whatever city, or what's the current time, and it will pull it up based on your IP address. Now, keep that in mind. If you use like a VPN or something like that, chances are it's going to pick up your VPN. So if you're on the East Coast and you're like, hey, what's the current time, in the city, and you have the VPN on, it's going to tell you it's the same time. So keep that in mind.
There you go.
But that is a good little trick. By the way, I do want to answer one other question real quick before we wrap up here. Kelly had a question. How do you see how many you follow on Snapchat? So if you're in the Snapchat mobile app, very simple. Launch Snapchat. In the top left corner, tap on your Bitmoji picture that's there, and you're going to see your name, your username, and then you're going to see your followers there as well.
Really?
So
I don't see that.
Let's see. So I was pulling that up here.
Because the number is, I thought the numbers is actually the number of minutes that people have watched your stories.
Let me see, actually. And by the way, is Nicole still on? Let me see. So I'm not a big Snapchat user, honestly, but I'm not either. And I really don't think it tells you how many followers you have. So let's, I'll figure this out real quick. But that's a very good question, by the way, Kelly. So let me just bring this back up. And by the way, Nicole, if you're watching, you probably, you're following like 1,500 people, but how many people are you, how are you viewing that? And by the way, I honestly, I really wouldn't get too hung up on how many followers you have on Snapchat. I guess it's a good, measuring stick, but again, we follow people over time, some people come on, some people drop off. Let me just see what we can find out for you. So you can check out the added me list actually on Snapchat. By the way, I misspoke on that earlier, but yeah, you could go to the added me option. Do you see that one at all, Kelly? So not a big Snapchat audience apparently with viewers tonight. Nicole says she doesn't use Snapchat much either. So we'll get that figured out for you, Kelly, though, and we'll let you know. But I think you can look under the added me section. That will give you a list of all the people who've added you on Snapchat and are following you. So I think that might give you some of your info. But let me actually check something else real quick.
I don't think it has it, Christian. I really don't. I think Snapchat is doing that on purpose because they don't want us to compare, because that's one more way to bully.
Right. And here's the thing. I just tried going, for instance, to snapchat.com/my username. That didn't work for me. I was thinking, you could typically go to Instagram.com/your username. But, we'll see what we can find out for you, Kelly. But I tend to agree with Phil here as well. Not really, not a huge thing to kind of know about, I don't think. But we'll see what we can do to answer your question. So with that, any last thoughts?
Yeah, man. So one more thing. So if you're on this live with us, if you watch us recorded, we want you to join our group. Join the Social Chefs group on Facebook. We talk about all sorts of stuff there. It doesn't cost you anything. We just want to continue the conversation, get to know you a little bit better. Christian and I are both there. So join us there. Check out the group.
And here's the thing, the group, I'll put the link in here, but, pretty simple. You can go and you can ask questions. I like that, for example, I get a lot of emails, and what I like to do is, I love to answer people's questions and help them out. But I also want to make sure, if I get that same question, 10 times, for example, I want people to be able to go in, and feel like, hey, it's not a silly question. Just ask your questions and we'll answer it. And either we'll chime in or someone else will chime in. But basically, go join the group, free to join. In this case, you'll get our support, but you'll also get the support of the community. So with that, I want to say thanks a lot for joining it. This was a lot of fun, so again, and this is the thing with live video, by the way, when you do live video, sometimes you're going to have hiccups, you're going to have scheduling hiccups. You're going to have, meeting conflicts or whatnot that come up, no big deal. Roll with the punches. In this case, Phil and I, hey, you know what? We came up with a backup plan. No, we always have a backup plan. If somebody can't join the show or, hey, somebody gets sick or something happens, we still go on with the show, but we have a backup, which is, hey, we'll run it. And so, I want to say thanks a lot for joining and, keep doing I don't want to say keep doing awesome things. I think somebody used to do that, didn't they? Who used to say that? Somebody used to say that, but I want to say, keep as a business, keep growing. Again, it's not about keeping up with like your peers. It's not about saying, hey, you know what? They're going 200 miles an hour. I have to go 200 miles per hour. Everybody goes at different speeds. Was it different strokes for different folks here? But as a business, I hope you found these, updates useful. We'll have the blog recap going out for you tomorrow on Friday. But thanks a lot for joining this week. By the way, Chris,
click the group and then click join.
So there's
join.
Yeah, so it should be, if you go to that link that I shared in the comments, you should be able to just hit join or request to join. In this case, myself or Phil will go in and we'll approve you. And then just go in, ask questions if you have certain things you want to know about.
Yeah.
So now Nicole says she needs to go and follow 1,499 people.
Don't follow me, Nicole. Stay with me. Stay with me. So yeah, check us out. Let us know.
By the way, next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, who are we going to have next week on the show?
Is it Dorian?
Is it Kelly actually?
Oh yeah, Kelly Lebet Singh. That's right. Kelly. If you don't know Kelly is fantastic. She has done lots of cool stuff. She's from Arizona. She is just fantastic. I play fantasy football with her, and she kicked my butt the first year that we played. This year I won. She's super duper smart. So I enjoy Kelly a lot. It's Loubet, Kelly Lubet Singh, Singh. She's fantastic. She's got a couple little munchkins, a wonderful husband, and just as a super duper smart social media person. I always learn from Kelly.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll drop that here in the comments. So if you want to go follow her ahead of time, this is going to be next week's show. So we're going to have Kelly on. But thanks a lot for watching tonight. And I do want to, leave one last parting thought. And I want to thank Kelly Kavanaugh, actually, for saying this. Don't compare your beginning to the middle. This makes a lot of sense. As a business, you're growing. If you're just starting out, you're going to have to work at it. It's going to be hard at the beginning. Seth Godin likes to call this the dip, basically. Things are fantastic at the beginning, and then they plateau. And it's the people that make it through the middle that succeed. So keep going, get through all the hard times. Things are going to change a lot. You're going to grow a lot, and then you're going to come out much better on the end once you've gotten through everything. But thanks a lot for joining this week. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
See you next week.